So you want to find your family history, but you're not so sure that you want to make a huge financial investment or spend hours and hours and hours in doing it. You just want to build a basic tree, try to find your great grandparents, your great great grandparents, and find some interesting records that tell some interesting stories. Well, it's totally possible, and you can do it quick, easy, and affordable. And I want to tell you about a website that I think can help you out with this. Now, full disclosure, they are sponsoring this video, and it's archives.com. They asked me to come out here and kind of share the website with you. So nobody's told me what to say or anything, but I've taken a look at it and have used it myself. And I really think it's a great solution if you're just getting started or you want to kind of keep it simple, keep it affordable. I've been doing genealogy a long time, and it's easy to sink a lot of money into it, but you don't need to. So let's take a look at archives.com and see what this is all about. First, it is a basic genealogy website where that means that you can build a family tree. You can search for genealogical records. You can kind of connect with other people. So it does a lot of the basics that you're going to see in other big genealogy websites. It also has a free trial, and that's the way to go. So before you click the trial button, sit down and write down what you do know about your family. Talk to your parents, talk to your grandparents, put down as many details as you can, because that's your starting place. Your hope is typically that you'll know enough about your grandparents that's really going to catapult you to be able to go further back. But the good news is that Archives has records certainly from the 20th century as well. So if you don't know a whole lot more beyond your parents, you're going to be able to even find records for your parents, and that will take you pretty quickly back to your grandparents. So at Archives, you're going to click that free trial and be able to do this for 7 days. So again, be ready, be prepared with your information so that you can make the most of it. And if you enjoy it, and I think you will get hooked, as we all do in family history, then you can certainly go from there to make a selection about a subscription. You could start just randomly searching, but I really recommend against it. That's the temptation, is people will just start looking for their grandparents' name. But I would take a quick look at their family tree feature. Put yourself in there, your parents in there, and start to build out. That's a great place to first record what you have written down that you know about your family. And from there, you're going to be able to start looking for records that will help fill in the details. Here's the trick. Genealogy works backwards. Makes sense? So you start with yourself and you work backwards. So let's say you're going to get to a grandparent, and that grandparent has passed away. What's the last thing that happened in their life? They passed away. So you are looking for death records. You're looking for cemetery records, and you can certainly find those at Archives. So we are going to take a look at some of these collections, but let me give you a quick rundown of what we're talking about. It doesn't have a huge variety of records, but it has what I call the backbone records, the ones that will help you make those steps backward. And then once you get the framework put together, you can fill in a lot of more information from other free genealogy websites. I talk about those here all the time at Genealogy Gems. And you could even subscribe to other larger collection websites. But at Archives, you are going to find vital records. So that's birth, marriage, and death. You'll start with the death records. What comes before that? Probably marriage. Birth is going to be the last record that you're going to be looking for an individual, right? Working backwards. You're also going to find the census. And that is probably your number one backbone record. It was taken in the U.S. every 10 years. They started back in 1790, and the most recent available is 1950. That's the first one you're probably going to look at, and that is now available at archives.com. So I'm going to have resources for you in our links in the show notes description for this video, because I've done some in-depth videos on working with the 1950 census, how to find people, how to solve, issues when you don't find somebody right away. It's a fascinating record. It's got a lot of details about your family, and it really is easy to use over at Archives. From there, you'll be able to go back to the 1940, the 1930, and all your family is grouped by family, by head of household in each of those census records. So we'll take a look at that. Let's take a look at what a 1950 census entry looks like. To find the 1950 census here at archives.com, we're going to go under search in the menu. And you'll see a list of records here on the left. We will click on census. Now, first of all, notice that we have a collections box. So here, it's going to give us all the different census collections that they have, starting with 1790. Of course, the U.S. federal census was every 10 years. So I'm going to scroll all the way down here, come into the 1900s, and we should see the last one listed here is 1950 U.S. federal census. So we're going to select that. And now I can search for a person. Let's look for Elvis Presley. We're going to click the Search Now button. And there you go, right at the top. Now, notice that Archives was able to locate a record, even though it was not spelled exactly the way I had spelled it. I put one S. He's listed in the census with 2. There are some variations that have been added here as well. So it was able to pick that up, and you can click here and just see everybody who's in the household. So perhaps his mother, his father. But let's click the image itself to take a look at the record. And there we go. And what I love about this is they highlight on the record the name of the person that you searched for. So if we zoom in, I can use the zoom tool here on the right. I have a little roller ball on my mouse, so I can roll in and out as well. And you can see here's the Presley household. And here's Elvis. So they've put a yellow line over Elvis so I can follow his information all the way across the record. Sometimes these records can be quite wide. Or if you're zooming in, you want to be able to get a close look. You can still drag left to right to left, up and down. You'll also notice that on the right-hand side, you've got a text version of the information. And this too can be really helpful. Just kind of give you a quick overview of everything they know about him. And again, linking to other people in the household. Now, as I mentioned before, families are grouped under the head of the household. And typically, if their father is in the home, then the father will be listed as the head of the household. It might be a grandfather with his kids and some grandkids. It could be nieces and nephews, but whoever is kind of the head of the household, whoever owns that home, if they happen to own it, they're going to be listed at the top. Typically, you're going to see the father. And here we see for Elvis, his father, Vernon. He's 34 years old. He was born in Mississippi. And you can see along the top, they give us the columns. These are the questions that were asked by the 1950 census enumerator. And as we come down the column, then we see their answers. You can see here that Elvis is the son of Gladys and Vernon. He's 15 years old and he was born in Mississippi. And here is a great example of having other people besides just mom and dad and the kids in the household. Minnie is listed as mother. She's 55 and she's widowed. So here's the key. When you see somebody like this in the census, in these records, the relationship, and that's this column here, the relationship is in relationship to the head of household, right? That's super important because this is not Gladys's mom. This is Vernon's mom. And that makes a big difference as you're building out your family tree. So we want to get that right. We're going to remember that everything is in relationship to the head of the household. Gladys, his wife. Elvis, his son. Minnie, his mother. So that's just really exciting. Here we actually have 3 generations of the Presleys right here in one household. And where do they live? Well, a lot of times you can find that information right over here in this far left-hand column. It says here they're on Winchester Avenue. And you'll see that also over here on the text portion. The street name is Winchester. Now, they list a house number, an apartment number, and a dwelling number. So here's something else we need to keep in mind as we think about how the census was created. The enumerator went from house to house. The dwelling number is the order basically in which the enumerator went down the street and visited the homes. So this was kind of visit number 265. Think of it that way. But the house number, the number on the house on Winchester Avenue is 18. So we would say they live at 18 Winchester Avenue in apartment 38. Now, one more tip. Always look at the original record. Don't just rely on this information that's been typed up and has been used to create an index for this record. We want to go over and just make sure that the way this was inputted is the way it appears on the record. For example, house number 18. Come on over here. We're going to go under street name, apartment number, and dwelling number. Now, we know this is dwelling 265. That's the order in which they visited. But look at this. 185 is the apartment number and 328. So what does that mean? Well, first of all, it looks like maybe a number got left off. But I really need to kind of look through the whole record to see what the enumerator is doing here. And in fact, if we come up here, we can see that 183 appears on the first line. So that would tell me that's the house number 183 on Winchester Avenue. And the second number listed, we would assume is an apartment number. I'd have to do a little bit of double checking and research to see if that's truly the case. But that's the way it's represented here, that house number 185 on Winchester Avenue has 328, 329, 330. All of these are listed as 185. So that tells me that it's all one building, and I would have to assume that these are apartment numbers. We'd want to go visit that location on perhaps Google Earth, see if it's still there. Is it really an apartment building? Does that line up with what we're seeing in the 1950 census? Yep, sure does. So there's just so much here to learn. You know, who were the neighbors of the Presleys? What did Vernon do for a living? In 1950, we can look over here under occupation and see that he labels and packs paint in a paint factory. Who knew? So as you can see, you see the head of the household, typically the dad, and then you see the wife, and you see the kids, and you see their ages, and you can figure out what year they were born, where they were born, what their occupations were. And these are all clues to open up avenues to find more information about your family, because we really are striving to tell this story, not just names and dates. And to that end, you might want to fill in some of the gaps in between those census decades every 10 years. And city directories is a great way to do it. And you're going to find those at archives as well. City directories oftentimes were even taken yearly and published yearly. So this is going to help you find the location that you found in the census and see if you can't find a year or two prior to that or after that, and start locating and filling in the gaps through the city directories. It'll even give you their street address. You could go look it up on Google Earth and take a look at it and see what it looks like today. Also, you'll find military records. There's some immigration and passenger list information here. You can search for living people, search family trees, and even get into newspapers, books, obituaries, cemetery listings, and something special called memory pages. These come from We Remember, where they allow users to create memorials to honor and memorialize people who have passed away, using sources like obituaries, photos, stories, and videos. So it's just a really, really exciting record collection. So by starting on archives and using their collection, I was able to make a tremendous amount of progress really quickly, and then go to a site like FamilySearch.org and find a whole lot more absolutely free. I challenge you not to get completely addicted to genealogy. I think you probably will. But even if you decide, hey, I want to do this for a weekend and that's it, you're going to really be able to make a lot of progress. And that's what's fun. And then maybe you can hand it off to somebody else or share it at the next family get together or pick it up a couple of years from now. But why not get started today? Find your family's stories. They are waiting to be told. Nobody wants to be forgotten. And if you want to make sure that you're not forgotten, your family's not forgotten, stay tuned here at Genealogy Gems and head over to my website, genealogygems.com. I don't want you to forget me. So sign up for the free newsletter. That'll keep us in touch for all the new videos and podcasts that we're putting out on a regular basis. Thanks so much for watching, my friend. I'll talk to you soon.